Welcome to the Next 100. My name is Molly Ruland. I'll be your host. Thank you for joining me and checking out the pilot of my podcast. See, my story is a little bit different, and I wouldn't change it for the world, but I have so much to share, and I think this is the best way to do it. See, I left home at 17. I had my first spinal surgery at 19, and I had learned everything the absolute hard way. When I was 15 months old, my parents were told by a team of doctors at Bethesda Naval that I wouldn't live more than 20 years and I wouldn't be more than 4 feet tall. So I guess that's why they call it practicing medicine, huh? But, the thing about understanding mortality and having surgeries is it really helps you dial in on what's important and what's not. And it taught me that anything is possible. You can defy all of the odds. And, living in pain has given me a very unique perspective because it's given me a sense of connection and empathy to every other person on the planet. I don't feel any different. I don't feel any more special or secure or safe than anyone because life is very fragile and I understand that intimately. But, what it's also given me is this beautiful lens on the world. And so for 21 years, I ran a multimedia company and we managed artists and through events and we fostered community through art, music, and culture. And it was a beautiful life. It was truly beautiful, but it was super hard, I worked really, really hard. I devalued myself constantly. I mean, I had the best of intentions and I built this company, this very heart-centered company, but I never included myself in that. And I put everybody in front of myself, every single person, and I didn't know a damn thing about business, and so I made so many mistakes. Whew, man, we'll get into that later, but learning about leadership is a painful road when you when you realize how wrong you've gotten it so many times and continue to do so. But I digress. 2017 was the year for me. I had a miscarriage. They thought that I had cancer, and I legitimately was praying that I did. See, when I was in between surgeries in my 20s, I was in so much pain that I would wake up. I had 3 herniated discs in my neck for 2.5 years, and I used to wake up every day and be disappointed to still be alive. And I used to pray for cancer because I wasn't going to kill myself because I knew that would devastate the people that loved me, no matter how few and far between they might have been. But I just didn't want to be there anymore. And so it was so fitting that 15 years later, when my life is drastically different and my mind was different, that here came cancer. And I was relieved. I was genuinely relieved. And I was ready to get off this ride. And I didn't have cancer. And so the universe decided it wasn't my time and sat me all the way down. And at that point, I realized that I had to make changes or I wasn't going to make it. And so I closed the company down and I recondoed my life and I dialed in on what brought me joy, being, the brand strategist, the aesthetic director. I like being behind the camera. So inherently, this is all not really my jam, but I even blew dry my hair out for y'all. So hope you appreciate that. Won't last. Live in Costa Rica, but I digress. I decided to rework my whole business and everything I was living for. And so I closed the company and I formed a new company, and I formed it with a friend of mine who was really good at business. And I felt like I couldn't do it without her and that she had so much more knowledge and experience, and she did, And I was a mess. I was a hot mess. I hadn't healed from everything. I really wasn't ready, but I started this new business, and the partnership lasted maybe 2 months, and it ended a friendship temporarily. And it really destroyed me. And I just knew very keenly what my strengths and weaknesses were. There was no denying that. In fact, I didn't even know all of my weaknesses yet, but I learned them over the last few years. But I really just knew that I didn't have what it took. And so I decided to go on a journey of personal and self-discovery and business development. And I set a goal to read 1 book a week, and to read as many books about business development, personal development, leadership, no fluff, like all good stuff. And I never hit my goal, but I've read over 120 books in the last 3 years, and it has drastically changed my life. So I'm recording from Costa Rica, as you can see over here. I bought a house. I have a beautiful dog and a little puppy on the way, and every day I get these memories from Google Photos and Facebook about my life 4 years ago, 3 years ago, even 2 years ago, and it's unfathomable at times. And so I just really want to share everything that I have learned with you. So, fair warning, I'm not for everybody. I curse a lot. I say Mickey Flicky like it's part of my vernacular because it is. I also have been told that I should be a stand-up comic. So that's like plan D, maybe C, depending on how all this goes. So it won't be boring, but if you are offended by curse words, you're really going to be messed up about racism and the patriarchy. So I'm probably not the one for you. But if you want to learn strategy, branding, marketing, business development, if you want to learn those things that are going to take your business to the next 100, then this is the podcast for you. So the reason why I named it the next 100 is because, well, there's a couple different reasons. Number one, way too many businesses don't make it past 100K. In fact, 40% of small businesses are owned by women, yet only 12% of them make more than $100,000 a year. Women represent 40% of business ownership, and 12% of us are making less than 100 grand a year. 39% of small businesses make more than 100 grand a year. So yet small businesses represent 44% of the economic activity. So there's a real problem here. And I know that there's this gap, right? There's this jump between, if you're making 20K, you might not have a business, right? But if you're making 60K, 70K, like you got a product, you got a service, you're selling something and you're making some money, but you're stagnant and you can't get over that 100, this podcast will help. From there, it's all about the next 100, right? Because as soon as you make your first 100, the next 100 comes so much easier, and so does the next, and so does the next. So this podcast is primed to help get you over that hump and continue to grow your business. So the coolest thing about all of this, right, is that we are going to do it together. So I have already grown my business to a certain point, right? This is why I feel comfortable starting this podcast and sharing this information with you. But we're going to do this together. I'm going to be growing my business. I'm going to be reading more books. I'm going to be implementing these things into my business, sharing it with you. We're going to do screen sharing. We're going to do, it's mostly going to be me. I'm going to keep them short and sweet. I'll interview people when it makes sense. Like I don't want you sitting through some long interview just to get some gems. We're going to talk a lot of strategy, but we're going to talk about practical and tactical tools, systems. I love systems. I didn't even know 3.5 years ago how much I love systems, but I love systems. So if you like Slack and Acuity and Trello, oh my gosh, all my favorite things, then get ready because you will love them by the time I'm done with you. But yeah, automations, how to implement these things in your businesses, how to hire, why maybe a branded podcast can help your business, what branding elements are important, what ones aren't, what to focus on, how to be a good guest. I'm going to give you every bit of knowledge that I have gathered from 22 years of multimedia experience, brand strategy, in addition to the 120 books that I've read over the last 3.5 years to give you those gems to help you further your business to get to the next 100, right? So that's the story, right? So for me, what I would really love to do is be on this journey with you. So head over to my website. It's mollyruland.com/the next 100. That's 100, 100, not written out. And let's get together, man. Like join the mailing list. Like let's hold each other accountable. Let's talk about the podcast. Like tell me what you want to learn, right? I'm going to start recording these episodes and rolling these out for you, but I want to hear from you. What do you want to learn? Do you want to go deeper on Trello? Do you want to learn how to use Acuity? Like what would be beneficial for you? But I have so much information to share with you. I do not know everything, right? Like I don't know everything, and I've hesitated for not that needs to be just like disclosed, but just in case anybody thought I was full of myself, I'm not. And I've hesitated for a long time in doing this because I don't want to be one of those people that's like shooting all over people and telling you what to do. Although I will admit my language is very much like you should. So brace yourself. I'm working on it. But I'm just saying I don't know everything. But what I do know is all the mistakes that I've made. And then I've learned how to rectify them. And then I've learned to throw gasoline on those mistakes and turn them into gold and make it all work. And that's what I want to share with you. So some of it will be relevant to you and your business and some of it won't, right? But hopefully there'll be some gems in there. Hopefully we'll be on a good journey together. I promise to use a microphone, at least make it sound good. And yeah, man, if you find this valuable, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to subscribe on iTunes, that's care, but I don't really care about iTunes. I'm an Android girl. Sorry, just saying. And I'd really rather you subscribe to my YouTube channel and my email list. So do what you will. You're going to get your podcast wherever you get your podcast. But the greatest gift you could give to me is by sharing this content, right? Head to my website, share the content, let people know what's up, and help me spread the good word about what's going on over here. So thank you for taking the time. I'm excited to see you on the next episode of The Next 100. Thank you for tuning in to The Next 100, sponsored by Heartcast Media. We are a digital media creative agency focusing on branding, marketing, strategy, and amplification. From personal branding to podcasting, we've got you covered. And to continue this conversation, join me on Instagram. My personal account is Molly D. Ruland, and of course, you can also find us at Heartcast Media. That's where the really good stuff is going down. So join me there. Let's continue the conversation, and until next week, have a good one.